Hi book lovers! I'm here with another video because I wanted to tell you about all the books I read in March and April and the ratings I gave the books I read. The first book I read, or it was in two books, but it is technically one book, is Oathbringer, so I got it in part 1 and part 2. What can I say? Another Sanderson, another good read. Was it as good as Words of Radiance? No, it wasn't, but it was still enjoyable read. I didn't struggle with it and I'm intrigued to see how it continues. While reading fiction books, I decided to read non-fiction on the side, and the one I read is The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs. I think I read it pretty quickly. I couldn't put it down most of the time. It's a non-fiction about dinosaurs, obviously, but it was a smooth read. The writing was approachable for a regular reader who is not a paleontologist. I ended up giving it 5 stars because I just loved it. I loved every part. The small critic I have is a few times I was thinking about how the paleontology modern day section could end and we can go back to dinosaurs. However, I still enjoy that also most of the time. I do understand why it was there. It definitely put things into context, how the dinosaur bones were found, so it was definitely still interesting, and it's also so that some people can read more on the topic, on specific topic they want. All of the names of the people that were important or are important in this field of work, it's important to give them credit, obviously, so that's great. That's why I didn't feel like rating it down from the 5. It was a 5-star read. As you can see, I put a lot of tabs in there, and this was the first time when I used the pen. I underlined stuff, I highlighted stuff, not very prettily, it's not aesthetic at all, but I really worked with it and with the text like a textbook, learning new things that genuinely interest me, and it was just fun. I recommend it for anyone who is interested in this topic. And the last book I read in March was Ocean's Godori by Ellen Yu Cho. How to describe this book? I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's a debut sci-fi space opera book. It is not your typical space opera. It was kind of a literary fiction in space. The characters are usually really insightful of like the body language of the other person, and they know how the other person reacts or thinks about the conversation, and kind of hard for me to describe. I can imagine this book as a lit fic not set in space. I did enjoy it, I still love the cover, and I will definitely pick up and read the second book as well, which is coming out this year, I'm pretty sure. The first book I read in April is Assassin's Quest, or the final third book of the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy by Robin Hobb. As you can see, I tapped this one, and it's honestly very satisfying. Lots of tabs because it's a long book, like 800 pages. I gave the first 2 books easy 5 stars, absolutely love them. So what did I think about this one? Unfortunately, it wasn't as perfect as the first 2 books, and I'm with the majority of readers that this was the weakest of the 3. It was still a really good read. Was it needed to be this long? Probably not. The female characters, almost all of them, or maybe all of them this time, were kind of frustrating. Some were really strange and infuriating and just straight up dislikable. And this time I felt like it was extremely unfair to Fitz. People did not speak with him, did not communicate with him straightforwardly. They did not tell him stuff. They straight up told him they refused to tell him things they know. It was kind of odd, I gotta say. So it wasn't as good of a read as the first 2 books. I still ended up giving 4.5 stars. Kinda sad, the whole trilogy is not a 5-star, but what can you do? The last section where they travel in the mountains felt also very long and like extremely repetitive. The ending kinda anticlimactic. However, as I know, reading it in 2025, this is not the end of Fit's story, so the epilogue, I just flew through it and didn't think too hard about it, because that would be very unsatisfying ending, absolutely. After that long book, I did need kind of a break, and out of nowhere I realized the next Brandon Sanderson story I could pick up was 6th of Dusk. That's what I picked up then. Really short story, 4 stars, it was good. Right after that it was time for Dawnshard, which happens right after the Oathbringer book. So I also picked that up. It was a very fast read, a solid read, 4.25 stars from me. We get more of Lopen. Love that character. With these likable characters who also joke and make up the mood of the other characters. At the same time, he actually says stuff with really good points. You kind of expect them to do 180 and betray them, and actually there was something more about this character, but so far that didn't happen. We're gonna see. Yeah, I had fun, it was good, and next one will be probably Rhythm of War. Then it was time for a book that I predicted to be 5 stars, and was it? Spoiler, it was not. So I read Black Tongue Thief by this author last year. I really enjoyed it, gave it 4.25 stars, and I was excited to pick this, which came this year. It's a prequel, and we have the same character from the first book, Galva, but it's her background and backstory. I liked knowing more about Galva. However, my critique is it has such a big potential with the setting. The world building is really nice. The goblins are fearsome. The wars between people and goblins are really gruesome and brutal and interesting. But with this book, we jump into one point in time with the Third War. We get really a little about the wars before, and that's a great shame because I wanted to know more. And it all happens in one point of time. We don't get any time jumps, which I think would have really worked with this concept. And also there were not many, well, there were gruesome scenes, but I kind of wanted more and deeper to really absolutely disturb you. The last thing is the corvids, obviously. That was amazing part of the story. I loved it. I loved how the birds were so intelligent and they can speak and say a few words to humans, how they react to things. That was also potential, and they needed more scenes than they got. So that is unfortunate. The potential was there, it was great. It ended up being a 4.25 stars for me. I will definitely pick up any other book the author writes from this universe though. After that, it was time for Discworld again. It was the 6th one by publication order, which was Wyrd Sisters. I feel like a lot of people really like this one, or maybe just the Witches series. To me, it was okay. It wasn't amazing. I really don't have much to say. It was fine, but I think some of the books before were better, and I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. The last book I read in April was Severní Den, or Nordtag, or Northern Day. So it's a Czech book. It's a debut novel, so I also wanted to support the author. It has absolutely great style, like this steampunk vibes. And my feelings are, it was fine, it was good. I don't feel like it was really good or amazing. Also, there is potential, but it could have been better. I did give it 3.75 stars as well. This is gonna be a trilogy probably. So will I give the second book a try? I honestly am not sure at the moment. Maybe yes. I will see. There's a lot of books I want to read. I will think about it. Those are all the books and stories I read in the last 2 months. Now it's May and I have more books to read. Let me know down in the comments what kind of books did you read in April or March. Did you have any 5-star reads? Because I did not in April actually, so that's kind of sad. I hope you have a lot of 5-star reads in May. Same for me, I hope for that. Thank you for watching this video and see you next time.